I just now started the recording, and I'm assuming it takes a few minutes for people to pop on. So here we go. Once again, we welcome you to Women in the Arena, Conversations with Women in the Arena, the place where you can find support to live more courageously and get up after you fall. Because we know when we enter into a new arena or are trying to maintain and succeed and serve people in ongoing after a long career, we're still going to have struggles and obstacles to overcome. And this is where we want to help you succeed in your arena. So tonight I welcome my guest, Tiffanie Lyon. She's been a friend of mine for many years now, and she comes with a rich history in ministry, in business, and now in the new arena of being a resident chaplain in one of our large medical centers. Welcome, Tiffanie.
Thank you. It's good to be here, Michelle, my buddy.
Well, listen, we have done all kinds of different projects together, haven't we?
Indeed,
And
yes.
tonight, one of the things that I wanted to talk with you about, you have kind of a brand that you minister to people in both mind, body, and spirit, all the three parts of the human experience. And we are entering into December, the holiday season of the year. And I know that there's that song that says it's the happiest season of all. But we know that as women and men, that this can be actually not the happiest season of all. So I wanted you, with your interest in mental health advocacy, to really speak to our audience for themselves on how they can have a happier season, and also as leaders and people who serve in the community, how can they be aware of the needs of others who may struggle. So let me hand it over to you.
Okay, absolutely. Yes, as Michelle said, one of my many hats that I wear is that I'm a mental health advocate on a volunteer basis, because mental illness affects my family and friends. So I'm always on the lookout to help people in that with the mind. I'm also a pastor at a church part-time, like Michelle mentioned, and then finally full-time at a hospital, a large medical center, as a resident chaplain as my full-time job. And then I also have an online business for supplemental income. So I keep busy, but the important thing is the common thread or theme between all those is mind, body, and spirit, and how we can keep that healthy. And clearly our minds, bodies, and spirits are affected by the holiday season. And it's not always good. It's not always happy, like you said. So some of the things that may affect our spirits during this time could be the stress of shopping, the financial woes that come with the burden. And I hate to say burden when it's a joyful time to give gifts, but it's hard for people to give gifts financially.
Your schedules
perhaps the overeating.
Your schedules get more full. There's more food.
Yeah. Yeah, I was going to say overeating, over drinking, sleeping less probably because all that's going on, and then just emotional and mental issues are just really exasperated during the holidays, no matter which way you kind of swing. Like grieving loss of a loved one who's not with us during this holiday. I know I'm going through that a second year without my father, and that's tough. So sometimes people will choose unhealthy ways, like self-medicating with the overuse of alcohol to kind of dull the pain or fill a void. So all of these things during the holiday can affect our spirit.
And too, Tiffanie, as we were thinking about this topic, there is almost more pressure to be happy. Like, we are supposed to be cheerful. And so I think there's almost just an added pressure for people. We need to be up and on. And sometimes
that's part of the stress.
Yeah. So what are some tips that you might have for people?
Sure. So like you're saying, all these things affect our mental health, and it can be difficult to refrain from grieving a loss or reducing those holiday gatherings that you tend, or going lighter on the drinking and eating. So there are some things that you can do that can help reduce the stress or depression, anxiety you might feel, and that pressure to be happy. The first one is, the first one is, if you are on mental health medications that are prescribed by your doctor for any type of mental health issue, and or attend therapy, throughout the year, this is not the time to stop those. So keep making those a priority if that is what your physician, psychiatrist give you. Stick with that. People tend to want to go off it thinking that the holidays will put those things at bay. So
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So don't continue with your regimen of basically for all your medications. The second one is to give yourself some grace. And what I mean by that, grace in lowering your expectations. Now, I'm not one that's a proponent of telling everybody to lower the bar for your goals and expectations.
You are not.
Setting realistic goals.
Yeah.
No, I'm not. I kind of raised the bar a little too much. But for this, and for me and for all of us during this time is to lower your expectations by setting realistic goals, even around the season. Like, for instance, do you really have to send 200 plus Christmas cards out by December 15th? Or maybe you could do 30 cards by the 25th, or even do Happy New Year cards and just put it off, and then that way you're stand out.
I really
things like this.
Yeah, because I think we sometimes have self-inflicted pressure, and yes. I know, like, maintaining traditions to bake a gingerbread house. I love to do that, but there is, like, you know, with Pinterest and social media, there's kind of pressure to have for individuals, and some for it's joy, but some people it's not a joy. And so to really just set our expectations in a way that will allow us to truly have peace and enjoy. Okay, go ahead. I love that one though.
No, that's fine. Yeah, those are more like for here and now. And if perhaps sometimes this is when we also look at our goals for the next year, and maybe you didn't reach your 2019 goals. So maybe make your yearly goals for 2020 more realistic too. So you can look at it more in the season of things you can do to be more realistic, as well as for next year. Another thing that leads into that is learn to say no. I'm guilty of that sometimes. Graciously declining another party invitation, declining or changing up a new tradition where you don't make that gingerbread house, but do something that's a little easier. Not accepting extra hours at work, if that's an option.
One way I like to think about it is I like to allow some margin in my life, time margins, because sometimes I get my calendar out and I can book back to back to back. And I think in the holidays, there's an escalated pressure. So I think maybe allowing time margins between things that you have.
Right. Build in some wiggle room. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that leads to my next one. Take even just 5 to 10 minutes daily for a respite. Just deep breathing in a quiet, calm space. Maybe take a walk around the neighborhood. Pray if that's what you do. Meditate what you do. But for 5 to 10 minutes, just quiet place. I did it today at the hospital for a bunch of nurses to give them a respite. They're busy running around. They came in.
So you did that with people. You guided people to do that with the nurses. And so even people in leadership in business, it might be the time of year that these people who are leading would encourage their people to do that in order to bring more of a calm to the office or the organization. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Good.
Yeah, that's a good suggestion to make it everyone's workplace. And especially if you're caregiving, high stress job, retail, I mean, just have a break room where just 5 minutes. So that kind of leads into that. Or even get at night a no-brainer book, fiction book, just to kind of escape. If you're a reader or listening to books on tape at night on those types of things, it can really be an escape and calming. And the last one I want to mention is, you might have heard this before from your parents when you were younger, or your mama, is get some vitamin D, natural vitamin D sunshine. Get your body out into the sun on those days, even when it's cold, but the sun provides an effective calming feeling. And there is such a thing, folks, as SAD, seasonal affective disorder, that happens in the wintertime when it's cold or dark, and things get, dark so early, all that. It is a seasonal affective.
It's real. I mean, I've lived up in Erie, Pennsylvania for 5 years, where there's the lake effect snow, and they truly don't have sunshine. And for months, it feels like you might have sunshine twice a week. We are really blessed here in Louisiana to have an abundance of sunshine. But if we are office or inside workers, career people, or like me, kind of an online job, then you could pretty much stay in 24/7. So I really applaud that. I know if I'm disciplined and go out and take my walk, my emotions are going to be a lot different that day than if I choose to skip it.
Right.
So that's great.
And
Yeah.
that helps. Exercise. Everyone hears exercise, sleep, and water. All those things are no brainers, but you have to do. But walking outside in the sunshine kinds of does two birds with one stone. You get the
Yeah.
exercise, you get the breathing, you get the sun. So those are
And,
all very important.
and all of these things are very hard to fit in if you don't, and I want to encourage you to do this. I've started doing this probably in the last 3 months. I got a planner that gives me like hourly, and I can break it apart, and to make
Yeah, yeah.
appointments with yourself to do these things. Decide in the morning, or sometimes what I like to do is on Friday afternoon plan my next week. Or the night before, if
Oh
you do
yeah.
day by day, and say, okay, tomorrow I can stop for 5 minutes. And listen, everybody, the world will not,
Put it in there.
won't fall apart if you stop for 5 minutes, right? You know,
Right?
so,
No.
but you got to plan
Put it
it,
in
or
your
it
calendar.
won't happen. It won't happen.
Exactly. That's
Or
a very
remind,
good
if
point.
you're not a calendar person, you can set an alarm for yourself and on your phone, and have the alarm go off as a reminder. Anyway, that's my 2 cents on that. All right. So,
Those are the core
um,
things. Mhm.
but those are what you're encouraging people to do this month during the holiday season in order to care for their mind. But at the same time, you're talking, it's all related, your mind, body, and spirit, all three: the
Mind,
meditation,
body, and spirit.
sunshine, walking, all of those things. But Tiffanie, I know that you have an ongoing calling, really, to be an advocate for mental health and raise mental health awareness in both the church and the community, in the workplace, all those things. So I know that there are people here who have struggled and may still be struggling alone in their own mental health um, obstacles and problems. But sometimes even the more challenging thing is if you have a family member who struggles with
Right.
mental health issues and you need support in order to keep going. I know you have a real heart for that. So I want you to just talk real briefly about that, because there may be somebody who's listening locally. And then if they're not local though, there's probably the same kind of support system somewhere
Right.
else. So hop in there
Absolutely.
about it.
And the first one that comes to mind to me that some of the listeners or watchers may know is NAMI, the National Alliance of Mental Illness. Just Google it, NAMI, N-A-M-I. And it's national, but there's chapters all over. And here in Slidell, Louisiana, we have the St. Tammany Parish, St. Tammany NAMI, our chapter. And they're very active. And all the NAMIs have this to some degree. They have support groups. They have support groups for family members who have loved ones who are struggling with mental illness. Of any kind. And when I say mental illness, it's depression, anxiety, PTSD, bipolar, just anything you can imagine, eating disorder. I mean, everything. And support groups. And my church here actually hosts NAMI's family support group. But they also have support groups peer to peer, and they also have for parents with adolescents and youth with emotional, behavioral, and mental challenges. So
Yeah.
I highly encourage, we have Living Hope Ministries. We just started here at my church that supports the community when they have loved ones who are struggling and then they just can't get a grip, because I was one of those. My husband and my son both have a mental illness. They're fine now, but I needed that help way back when, and I felt isolated and alone. So if you are struggling with it yourself, NAMI's still for you too, because they have support
Right.
groups and resources. If you are a loved one that wants more understanding and support, NAMI's for you too. So I encourage you to look into that. And not all the churches are really embracing this, and they're getting more and more like that. And our church is one
That's
of those
part of what
leaders.
you're trying to help make happen in local churches in St. Tammany Parish and even Greater New Orleans as well. So, Tiffanie, I'm so excited about your being with us not only this week, but Tiffanie will be back the next 2 weeks in December to share more of her expertise with our Women in the Arena audience. And so we're going to wrap up. Thank you so much for your tips tonight. We hope you guys will get your planners out and plan your healthy activities that Tiffany's recommended. If you want more information and want to reach Tiffanie, I've got on michellecullison.com on Women in the Arena, the very top blog article tonight is Tiffany's church contact information that has the NAMI and the Living Hope Ministries information. And so reach out to her on Facebook as well. She'll be tagged in this if you have questions directly for her. And we welcome you to Women in the Arena. We want this to be a place where you can dream big and dare greatly, but have a support system that gives you practical tips like Tiffanie did tonight, and practical mindset and practical belief, and maybe even some practical marketing and all kinds of other things as well. We don't know what's coming yet, but we want to be here because we know that when people dare greatly, the world is a better place. When people are more courageous, the world is a better place. But with courage comes come falls. So we want to be here for that too, because if you're going to try anything, you're going to sometimes fail. So michellecolson.com, Women in the Arena, there's a page on that site. You can learn more about what we're doing. And Tiffanie, thank you. And I look forward to our conversation again next Wednesday night at 8 p.m. I hope you have a great week.
Thanks. You too. Bye, everyone.
Thank you. Bye-bye, everybody.